Let's be real, we all need to take a break from alcohol. Luckily, Athletic Brewing offers award-winning, great-tasting NA beers for any occasion. Take a break from alcohol with something that tastes great, from their easy-drinking Athletic Light to something a bit more hoppy with Free Wave, or even something dark and bold like All Out. Try Athletic Brewing today by going to unitedwedrink.com/athletic and enjoy free shipping on all orders over $50. That's unitedwedrink.com/athletic. Athletic Brewing, beer fit for all times. The opinions and statements in this podcast do not represent those of the host's employers, co-workers, family, or imaginary friends. Now enjoy the show.
Happy hour, more like amateur hour. Welcome to United We Drink.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another new episode of the United We Drink podcast right here on unitedwedrink.com, as well as Spotify and wherever fine podcasts are found. My name is Mike, and I guess I'm having a slightly better day than one of my co-hosts. Happy New Year, Kevin. Happy New Year, Tim. How are you guys?
We turned into a drive time radio show over the break.
Let's face it. We were that anyway. We just weren't willing to admit it until this year.
Gotcha.
Kevin, how are you doing? Are you?
I've just spent the last 20 or so minutes trying to figure out why my Discord wasn't working in any way, shape, or form. I'm now doing this show on my phone for the first time ever, which isn't pleasant. I think by next week I'll be using a pager to try to log in and share my musings on the beer industry with you guys. So that's what I'm going through right now. I'm also getting over a really bad cold. I've barely been out of bed for about 7 days. This was the first day that I did not go to work and come home early because I was too exhausted. So just the last week or so has really been shit. And that's. I got people got worse thing to complain about, but that's where my headspace is at going into this technology debacle.
Well, very sorry about all of that. I didn't know that you were sick. Sorry. I'm gonna just apologize profusely. That's my new 2026 resolution. I just apologize for everything, including things that I didn't do.
That's your new character,
Kevin. I'm sorry. Yeah,
you're the guy who apologizes for stuff.
For 2026, Mike has decided to be Canadian.
Sorry, so sorry. How are you doing, Tim?
I am here, and that's that. I'll just go ahead and be neutral at this point.
Chaotic neutral?
Yeah. Well, I mean, life here in Minneapolis is definitely chaotic, so I will take that.
Yeah. All right. This is our first episode of the year. We're definitely rusty and I guess a lot of different ways here. Did you have a decent enough holiday season? A little break, guys? Or was it chaos like my house was?
I did not really do much. I actually spent Christmas Day on my couch by myself, and it was kind of nice. Christmas usually actually feels like a very stressful time of year for me, so to just sit home alone without pants and watching TV was kind of nice. That was good. And then my New Year's was spent with 7 Brazilians who were all speaking Portuguese, and me just sitting there smiling like an idiot. So yeah, it was it was a break.
I mean, I can't complain. My Christmas and holiday season was great. I had, spent time with family and I was off school. So, and that's really is important for me. I mean, not having to do homework and actually being able to engage and do stuff with Jad this entire time was really nice. So, no, I had a really good break until about 7 days ago. That's when then the wheels came off the cart. But no, I had a good time off. How about you, Mike? You said you were dealing with chaos.
This holiday season, the boys were definitely, I think, in sensory overload with all of the holiday stuff, the movies, the music, the parties. I think probably my high point was my birthday / Christmas party that you were at. Friend and former co-host of the show, Phil, was there. We got to hang out with him for a little while, and I think that was probably my high point of the whole break, and that was the first day off of the break. Christmas was chaotic. The day after Christmas, we swear the day after Christmas is the worst day. They're just like, they don't know what to play with, but they want to play with everything, and they're mad. They don't nap, and they're just bastards. And then the week for like being off with New Year's was just felt like the longest week ever to me. And then
I thought you were just saying the boys were really into Boxing Day. Like that's what they got more exciting for.
They would have gotten some energy out with each other that way. But then not only after 2 weeks of them being off, our county, Palm Beach County, decides like, you know what? They need one more day. We need a day for the teachers to be able to come back and do teacher planning. So Monday they're off too. They can go back to school on Tuesday. Like, why? It's just like a slap in the face. But I digress.
No, so I did want to mention you say about the kids having all these presents and then not knowing what to do with sensory overload. My son, we got him a drum set. It was a second-hand drum set, but we got the kid a drum set. He got a Nintendo Switch for the first time, his first game console. 10,000 different Lego sets, puzzles, toys. 10 minutes after all his gifts were opened, he's like, "I'm bored." If you want to just make me filled with rage and frustration, have us spend, $1,000, several $1,000s on things and then tell you I'm bored. That is just infuriating. But also, that's just what kids do. I get it. But it's harder and harder to come to terms with that the older I get and the crankier I get.
Yeah, I'm pretty blessed. My daughter does not act like that. She give her a book. I got her Minecraft on her computer, and she even only played with that for like maybe 20 minutes. Otherwise she just kind of wanted to read, or we played cards, and I did not hear I'm bored once, which is pretty fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but she's also really easy to please. So that makes it simple. I'm very blessed in that way.
So we've established that Tim's daughter is better than our kids, Mike. Let's move on to beer.
Let's do that. What are we drinking tonight, Kevin?
I'm almost done with my first beer out of my frustration. I'm drinking the Belgian-style Pilsner from New Belgium. I bought it's not even a 12-pack. Maybe it's an 18-pack, and it's big. Of all their Belgian-style beers, the triple's in there, the Framboise is in there, the Pilsner, and
1554.
Yes, exactly. Thank you for that. I couldn't remember the number. But that's what I'm drinking right now. And then I have a Bell's Expedition Stout that I'm going to open up in a few because it's that kind of night.
That's definitely a beer for this kind of night.
Yeah.
Tim, what about you? Are you drinking something?
Yeah, I've got a gin and tonic. I've got a little Bombay Sapphire.
I was going to do that because I'm going to get to what I'm drinking in just a moment, but I have a little story. So I was fully intending on doing dry January. My wife and I did it last year, and first day of the new year, no problem. didn't drink. I talked about what my kids were like already. January 2nd, we took our boys and our nephew and my brother-in-law down to Miami for a day trip to go to the Frost Museum, a science museum for kids down there. We took the Bright Line, took the People Mover around downtown Miami. So like a very fun-filled day, but a very frustrating day of trying to wrangle them in places that they are just like, like look at all this stuff. And by the time we were coming back in like the early evening, it was like 5:30, 6 o'clock or something like that. We're on the train heading back to West Palm, and I'm like, I can't do this. I need a drink. Like, so I ordered a whiskey on the train and drank that. So my dry January lasted 24 hours, maybe 36. But I've decided that I'm just using it to kind of reset because I was drinking every day in December, and that's not something that I normally do. So kind of going back to a little bit of my normal days of drinking and not drinking so much. Though I would normally have not drank tonight, but I am having my first drink doing this show, and I was going to do a gin and tonic because I saw someone say they're doing dry January, and I thought that was clever and funny. But I am having something that Kevin actually got for me. This is Calumet Farm small batch bourbon.
Well, how is it?
This is delicious. I mean, look at how much is left in the bottle.
So dry January is going really well, is what you're saying.
Yeah, he got it in December, so that makes sense. That's awesome.
Yeah, this is delicious. I got a lot of good bourbons for Christmas because apparently I am now Mike Loves Bourbon, according to family. But this one was fucking delicious, and so that is what I'm having, and just a little bit of water on the side. So
awesome.
All right, so we are doing for our first episode of the year a kind of predictions. The beverage industry is fucking always nuts, and especially the beer world. So we did awards to end the year, and now let's talk about what it is that we think could happen. Excuse me, in the calendar year 2026 for beer, I guess beverage at large, but probably mostly talking about beer. I'll kick things off here with like a prediction that I think, and I'm gonna keep this kind of like along with January, dry January, and people abstaining, resetting, and all of that, and talk about NA. And I think that as many leaps and bounds as NA has been making over the last couple of years, I feel like this year could be a kind of even thing. And maybe I don't want to go out on a limb and say plateau, but I don't see huge gains for NA this year. Slightly to even type of stuff. I think that there's too many people who do already drink, I think are going to be drinking more probably this year. And where the people who are already abstaining or watching themselves will keep on that possibly straight and narrow. So I feel like NA's big gains might not be as big this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is probably something I see as well. I kind of piggybacking, what I was going to say for my first one was that I think you're going to see lower ABV beers be more popular. You've already kind of seen that trend. I've seen a lot of kind of analysis here lately that 8% beers aren't selling as well, but 3% beers are selling really well. I've seen, members of the Brewers Association put out videos about this. I just read an article today about how 3% beer is kind of here to stay. So I think, NA kind of been there, done that. People went, no, I still want to go ahead and have that. They just want to be healthier. And so I would agree. I think NA is going to plateau, but I think that doesn't mean that people are going to necessarily jump right into, quadruple big boys. I think 2026. I'm calling the year of the session beer.
So this is the time that I will announce that we're launching our new beer. It's called Quadruple Big Boys. It's coming out next week. No, it's funny. I mean, a lot of times we share a take on things, and that makes sense because we have similar experiences in the industry, and we if we didn't like each other and work well together on this podcast, we wouldn't be doing it. So it makes sense that we would have some similar viewpoints. One of my major ones was the way that I phrased it for my prediction is that NA will not be a viable option other than a few large national brands. I see the NA thing being very similar to the seltzer craze, where you have one or two national brands. They're all anyone needs because people need one IPA, they need one blonde ale, they need a couple options for a lager. You're going to have your national brands that are going to provide that. And why do you need a small local brewery to produce a can of, NA porter? It's not really necessary. And I still see the same thing. I think a lot of people banked on things like hop water. I don't really think that's a thing. I think I've enjoyed them in the past, but I've never gone back to them. And Mike, I feel like you've enjoyed hop water in the past, and you've kind of said good things about those brands. I'm not saying they're bad. I just don't know if there's much of a market for it. I think if people want a beer, they want to drink a beer, and they want to mostly drink a beer with alcohol. I think non-alcoholic beer is very much for people like me that are trying to cut down on their alcohol consumption, and that's only going to be so much of the market. So I think we're all kind of on the same, whether we want to call it a plateau, a step back, maybe a proving ground where smaller guys are not going to be able to be successful in the space. I think they're all kind of in the same orbit as far as a prediction.
Going back to what Tim said, I actually saw something, I think it was last week. Doug Valecki, I don't think he's at Revolution anymore, but he was at Revolution. Beer cruncher, beer aficionado, whatever you want to call him on social. He had a post about believing that 2026 will be the year of mid-strength beers, and I was like, that's not a real word or a real phrase. But so because I'm like, okay, there's full strength beer, there's NA beer. Like, what the fuck is mid strength? And it is essentially session. It's like stuff in the 3 to 4% range, maybe even 5. And I was just like,
How's
do
that
we
mid?
need to come up with a name for something that already existed and had a name?
So it's funny you say this because I was looking for the article that I had referenced earlier, and I found it, and it's from Food and Wine magazine, and the very first line is mid-strength beer, a long-standing category in the UK and Australia, is finally taking shape in the United States as brewers intentionally craft flavorful beers in the 2.5 to 3.5% ABV range rather than diluting higher proof styles. So literally the first words of this article I was looking up were mid-strength beer. So that's perfect that you brought that up, and maybe Doug was. I don't think he wrote that. He did not write this Food and Wine magazine article, but
So
it's
like,
very funny that you think he made it up, and then literally it's already there in this article.
okay, I stand corrected, but I just Googled mid-strength beer, and the article that you mentioned is the very first thing that comes up. The very second thing that comes up is an article on Doug's Substack. then there is another a Wall Street Journal post about it from September of last year, and then the fourth thing down, Reddit. Because Reddit's really the best place to go, I feel like, for information like this. It is a post from 9 years ago, and it is titled "Quick Question About U.S. Mid-Strength Craft Beers, Approximately 3.5%," and it talks about in Australia that being a thing, and okay, I stand corrected on this fucking show. And Remember, I
Literally in
like
real time.
I like it, like the English low ABV beers. Like I love milds and bitters that are in that 3 to 4% range. I had never once heard them called mid-strength beers. Like I just think of that as like
Low ABV beers.
low ABV or session,
But
like because
but, that,
that,
but that's
yeah,
not mid. Like that would be low. Mid would be, I don't know, 5 to 7.
5, 6.
Well, so
7, right?
but I
And then
mean,
high 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I mean,
but you have to remember that a standard beer is 5%, right? So for us in craft, right, like IPAs hitting 7% really became kind of the new standard. But for most of the world, 5% was the standard. So 3.5 would be mid by a global perspective.
but
Sure, you have larger beers, but those are considered anomalous. Whereas I think the standard drinking, I mean, if you look at just your large staples from Newcastle and Bass to Beck's to Heineken to all of those. They're more around that 5%. So that's kind of standard strength. So for us, yeah, we think of 5 as mid strength to us because it's hard to go to a brewery or a bar and see things that are lower than 7%. But from a global perspective, 3.5 would absolutely be mid. It'd be between NA and between your standard 5.
But
I
I would
consider
feel
mid to
like
be standard. That's my disconnect with that idea is that to me mid would be standard. But these are semantics, right? It doesn't
yes,
really matter
that's
how we describe them. I'm just pointing out. I mean, listen, we're also Tim, and you can appreciate that. I'm also from the Midwest, which is neither mid nor west. So we come up with ways to say things all the time, and it all depends on how you interpret them. Uh, but yeah, I'm kind of with Mike. Walked it back a little bit, and I appreciate that. I don't think we. I think we have good terminology for these things, and you know, I don't think we need to come up with new ones. But sometimes it's just marketing strategy too. Coming up with other
yeah.
sounds like mid strength. Maybe somebody goes, "Oh, I'm not having a low ABV beer. That's a pussy thing to do. I don't drink low ABV. I drink mid strength beer." I can see that also being something that could be pushed by, you know, those marketing wizards down on Wall Street.
Yeah, like I was with you were saying that Kevin, like that mid should be the standard. Like middle says that there is a low as well, not none. Like none is
Yeah.
not low. Like
Well,
none means zero, right?
I mean, but like near beer was a category for a long time, and that was not NA beer. That was like a 0.5% or a percent, right? So,
True,
uh,
yeah.
yeah. So and again, from a global perspective, because like that said, that's a term going back 9 years ago in Australia and the UK. Right? If you found it on Reddit 9 years ago, it was Australia calling it mid strength.
Like this coffee shop by me used to have a small and medium size for their cold drinks. And I was like, no, you can't have a medium. You don't have a large. Like it's small and large at that point in time. Like I don't get how because they just thought that the size was more of a medium type of size. It was 12 ounce and 16 ounce. I'm like, no, you have a 12 and a 16 ounce, or you have a small and a large. Like, I don't know why you call it a medium.
Th-
But
this has
Starbucks.
dissolved, guys. This has dissolved into a Seinfeld bit. And I think we could just move on. I think, unless Tim, if you have something groundbreaking to say on this, I don't want to cut you off. But I think we're spending way too much time talking about this.
Grande
okay,
Vente. Yes.
Kevin, what's a prediction from you?
So I came up with several of them. Some of them are kind of in the same ballpark. The first one I have is lots of layoffs in the distribution end of the business. I see, especially, so I have worked with a lot of small distributors over the years. Right now, I work with a large distributor outside of Florida, but a relatively small distributor in Florida, and one of the big Miller houses in Gold Coast. And I see them pushing more and more accounts to online ordering, getting rid of more and more sales reps, or sales reps covering more and more territory, because they're hurting big time. I mean, they're way down. Their numbers are plummeting. And just like everybody's, it's not just them, it's the craft beer industry and overall, and craft beer industry in particular. So I see a lot of shrinking there, which means that it will be harder and harder for us smaller breweries to reach the customers, the niche customers we need to get to. It will also mean that the retailers, everyone's going to have to raise costs because less beer going through. We're already seeing cost increases on my side from my distributor. That's coming out here in February on all draft and a little bit of package. And I think that's going to lead to the downstream effects is the craft shelf shrinking even more in most of your grocers and things like that. These are not bold predictions. These are trends that we've already been seeing. But with more than 1 year now of down sales, I don't think that these distributors are going to double down and have more SKUs and do more specialty stuff. I think that they're going to consolidate, shrink their teams, try to maximize their profits on their core items, and it's going to leave a lot of people like myself and even people smaller than us kind of out in the field.
This is something that I think the writing's been on the wall for a few years, is like the distributors have been consolidating and you have across all of alcohol, like Reyes, who's Gold Coast down here. Reyes is probably the biggest beer wholesaler in the country, with locations in I don't know how many states, many. Southern Glacier is a big wine and spirits distributor. I think they are like 1 and 2. I don't know which one was one, probably Southern Glacier, but then Reyes. The number 3 distributor in the nation, Republic National, is falling apart. Like they closed down their California operations a few months back. I think it was either today or yesterday. Dave Infante, great independent journalist, writer, or reporter for the beverage industry, got an insider email from Republic National that they're selling off their entire states of 6 states and DC to Reyes. And Florida's one of them. Like, so Reyes is acquiring all of Republic National's portfolio in the state of Florida, and that's wine and spirits too. So Reyes, I guess with the beer not doing so hot, are diversifying and getting in more wine and spirit stuff there. Like there was, I think Dave reported on this too. There was like talks with the AB family owned distributors throughout the nation about like, you guys should probably start looking at selling your businesses because it might not be going so well in the future. So like they have the probably strongest why am I sorry, I got off on a little bit there. I couldn't finish my thought, so I'm just going to move on. Like the distributors, their lobbying group is probably some of the strongest in all of lobbying. Like the Beer Wholesalers of America lobbying group is like near unstoppable. So the fact that like all of this is going on is fucking nuts and scary from the perspective of someone like Kevin and someone like me who are with like big houses in our home territories. Like, oh, you guys, you's doing good. Like, okay, as long as we're good, we're good. But I hear you, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing about distributors that haven't provided sales reports in like 6 months because they just don't have the personnel to keep up with reporting, and I'm not talking small, like little onesie twosie distributors, like these guys that used to have a lot larger team, and so now they don't really have anybody that's accountable to your particular brewery that you used to have, and so being able to get sales reporting is like pulling teeth. I'm sure the data's still out there, and it's sure in some spreadsheet or some database somewhere, but people aren't able to get that, and so not only are you losing the sales and marketing efforts from these distributors, but you're also just losing just kind of the basic thing that helps guide your business decisions. So
Communication.
I don't think that's just something that is happening in your guys' neck of the woods. I do think, you're right. This does seem like that a trend that's been coming for the last year, and we'll get it even stronger in 2026.
I mean, I'm glad you mentioned that, Tim, as far as like the reporting and the communication, which is always difficult in smaller breweries because there's only so much time they have for you when you're such a small part of their portfolio. But I mean, everything down to like distribution day, like delivery days for small bars and restaurants. They've always been cutting those down. You have small restaurants, and by small, they order 3 slims every order. They're now like every 2 weeks they'll deliver to them, right? And now they'll cut them down potentially like every 3 weeks they'll deliver to you because they have to maximize space on trucks and minimize trucks that are going out. Once upon a time, any distributor, even big ones, would bend over backwards for new accounts. And now they're saying there's no profit in for us to bend over backwards for an account that's going to order 6 slims this year. And small breweries need that account that orders 6 slims. They need 100 of them, but they need those accounts. And you're getting more and more to the fact that they're just being abandoned. And bars are. I've heard from restaurant owners going like, no one will deliver me beer. Like I need stuff, and I can't get it from anybody. And usually one of the distributors will have a good relationship, or they'll be pushing hard. It'll be the AB distributor, or it'll be Gold Coast, or it'll be Cavalier, or whoever. But you're seeing more and more of the abandoning of aspects of the market and basically saying, we can't make that profitable, so we're just not going to deal with it. And I think that's going to intensify, and I think you guys all agree.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Like I know plenty of places that they don't carry our beer because the distributor might not, or this is more thinking back to even days. Oh, I said it. I fucked up in this year. But
You've done it so many times.
You have to beep that
So
out.
many times.
I know. I will. But there were places that our distributor wouldn't deliver to because they couldn't reach a minimum. And like, okay. And that minimum, I feel like, has gotten bigger and over a bigger period of time. Like some of these small places, they need to order once a week, not just to keep stock, but because that's all that they can maybe afford to. Like now you're telling them, oh, you got to order in 3 weeks worth of beer at a time. And they might not have that amount of money, like starting off with to be able to handle that. Yeah. Or space. Yeah. I mean,
there's tons of reasons for that.
Fucking Chung down at the coffee district always used to keep those fucking kegs back in his kitchen area, like because he only had low boys and kegerators.
So I think that's another thing that we're in agreement on. As this, and this is also, by the way, I think for both of the things we talked about so far, these are trends that we just think that they're going to continue.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing we've said is totally groundbreaking. I think some of it is maybe stuff that we've realized,
or it is groundbreaking. Believe us, we're smart.
I mean, I think a lot of this is stuff that maybe were trends going back 6-8 months, but you really didn't start to kind of, get your head wrapped around it until the end of 2025. I mean, we ended 2025 on this podcast, I think, maybe optimistic that we could have more positive predictions for this year, and here we are starting this thing off, and we've got 2 not positive predictions for this year.
It's happened in the last month.
Yeah, like literally in the last month, I think we've had time to digest what 2025 looked like, right? Because that's
wait till you see the rest of my predictions there, Tim. There's nothing positive in it.
Yeah, because like I think I had said something to the effect of feeling like closings were going to level out, and within the last month, I realized, oh bullshit, Tim. I don't think they're leveling out in 2026. I think 2026 is far too optimistic to see a leveling out of closures.
Is that
Largely,
your next
I think
prediction?
that's my next
Yeah.
prediction is that, based on the things that we've talked about, based on drinking habits changing and distributors consolidating, uh, boy, we felt like 2025 was a hard year, and I wanted to be optimistic going into 2026, but now I am sitting here the second week of January going, I don't think I share that optimism I had 4 weeks ago.
So I'm kind of with you. Like I felt like as we were closing out last year, there was a little bit of optimism in me of like, okay, maybe 2026 will be the year that the bleeding stops. And like now I'm like, I don't know about stop. Maybe it'll slow down. Maybe you can keep that paper towel on the wound a little bit longer. Hold it above your head, like as long as it's on your arm or hand. But man, like it, I feel like there are places where things are going to probably level out, but I think as a whole around the country that it's not gonna yet. And um, yeah, it's sad, but it's my feeling now.
I mean, I think we all thought we were going to see a lot more price relief on things like cost of goods that were
Yeah,
realized.
especially with the tariffs being struck down. But like, I mean, I think that was the blindest wishful thinking. Like that stuff never goes down.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, yeah. I mean, we
we-
saw that in coffee. That there was tariffs and prices doubled, and then the tariffs were eased, and prices didn't go back to where they were. Right? It just set a standard for what the
And
new normal was.
they
yeah,
never have, and they never
Yeah.
will. That's just
Yeah.
not the way anything has ever worked, ever.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
we have all of human history and economic, economic experts telling us that never was going to happen.
Yeah.
Um, so to kind of piggyback a little bit on what Tim's prediction was and what Mike was just talking about, I think yes, I agree. I think we're going to continue to see more closures than openings. If I'm looking at the openings and who may be successful, I think it's going to be more of beer and something, and less we're opening a full production brewery that is going to service the entire southeast region, and we're going to be in all the grocery stores. I think it's going to be more of we're a comedy club and a brewery, right? We've talked about that on the show, and Barrel of Monks is leaning into that in some way, shape, or form. I think it's going to be someplace that has coffee and mixed use spaces and an arcade. I'm not saying all that will work. You're still going to need the right mix of favorable rent and good walking space and all these other aspects. But beer is no longer a gimmick that gets people in the door just because it opens. It's no longer a thing that's like, oh, well, the new brewery's here, so let's go check it out. Everyone's been to a brewery. Everyone's been on a brewery tour. They're all the same, and with few exceptions, all the beer tastes the same. So I think it's going to be other kind of spaces that use beer as kind of a additional selling point. Now that really can lead to bad beer and no focus on quality and things of that nature. So it's definitely not a recipe for success right away. But I see that being an avenue for smaller businesses getting in the space and maybe being able to be successful and not banking on being the next big thing. Because statistically, you're just not gonna do it.
Hmm.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news.
Yeah, I mean the breweries that we've seen open up here recently have all been a lot smaller, or they've been strictly a brew pub model, not a production brewery model. Literally looking to just service their small local community, maybe a couple exterior accounts or something like that, but they're not. People aren't going in saying, "Hey, we're gonna can and look for statewide distribution and things like that," like they used to. And so, yeah, again, predicting 2026 based off of 2025, I think you're right. I think the era of opening up a big production brewery is over.
Yeah, 100% there with you. Clean sweep across the board. Like I, I feel like the writing was on the wall longer ago than even most people want to admit. Like when I started seeing people doing like just more interesting things that diversified their business early on, like even when I was living in Philly, I went to a brewery and I just looked it up while I was you guys were talking just to see are they still open? And they are. There was a brewery in New Jersey called Death of the Fox Brewing, who was a coffee shop brewery, and they opened at 8 a.m. every day, uh, serving coffee, and then at noon they started selling beer that they brew there on premise, and so it very much seemed like coffee district to me, Kevin, when I went in there, because there was definitely a coffee house vibe to it, but with a like U-shaped bar where the taps were. And I was just like, okay, these guys are on to something. Like the beer was so. I will admit, but the I was like, this could be a thing, like where you're getting people coming in the morning and times when you're normally closed, and then you have people staying late for a thing when a coffee shop would normally be closed. Or are you getting the best of both worlds? Like, of course, you got staff, like the laborers of your biggest cost, and getting too far into it. But right then and there, I was like, okay, there's something to this, and I 100% agree with you that that's where it's got to be. I think we talked on this show about Almanac has switched their thing to being like a destination for families and having games and play areas for kids at their brewery. Like brewery isn't even really mentioned in their marketing anymore. Like they still brew beer and sell beer at their tap room, but it's more of like this is a destination to come and bring your families and hang out and have food and have drinks, and just a location, a third place. So that's it. I think we got to look at these places as being third places for more than just beer drinkers anymore.
You know, I smirk a little bit at the whole idea of the trend towards going to coffee shop and beer kind of overlapping, because I feel like here in the Twin Cities, at least, a lot of places tried starting to pivot that way 3 years ago, and we've actually even seen some of those places that were actually fairly successful at that 2 years ago start to close down now. So that we're losing both a coffee
Okay.
shop and a brewery. Like we've already ran that course. I'm not saying that nationally it's a dead trend, and I'm not saying we were necessarily ahead of it. I'm just saying we were in a different phase, where maybe we were already trying that, and it's already kind of run its course. So kind of to Kevin's point, that people are going to try these things. They're not all going to work, but they're going to try them. Uh, and I think there are some places that have done it, but there are other places I know that went hard into, okay, we're going to be a coffee shop, and they're still a coffee shop, but I'm noticing they're not open on Monday and Tuesdays anymore. So even though they were trying to be a coffee shop, what coffee shop isn't open on a Monday morning, right?
Yeah.
No.
They're realizing that people still see them as a brewery first and a coffee shop second. And that's the trick, right? Right? For the comedy club slash brewery thing, right? Sam's doing a great job, but Sam is seen as a comedy club first and a brewery second in a lot of ways. There was just another local brewery that just posted on their year in review a harsh look at things that didn't work for them this year, and they tried leaning into comedy, and it didn't work for them in 2025, because I think people saw them as a brewery first and a comedy club second. Like, if anything, you have to be this place that also brews beer rather than this place that brews beer that also does this, right?
Yeah.
So So yeah, mixed use space, but that doesn't mean that you're 51% brewery and 49% other. You're gonna have to probably be, and that was another thing that these people said is yeah, comedy didn't work, but a lot of the changes we're going to make are basically going to pivot away from being a brewery and more being something else. And so I think you're going to see a lot of these places that are now a business that happens to, it's like when a restaurant decides maybe we're going to try to start to open and brew our own beer on the side type of thing. I think you're going to see a lot of these things start to be 51% something else, because if you're still 51% brewery, you're never going to get that full comedy club cred, that full coffee shop cred, that whatever. And that's why it has not worked for a lot of places here. But I do think you need to be more than just a brewery, regardless.
You know what? I'm gonna jump in here with a prediction. And in 2025, we saw one of the bigger breweries in craft breweries in the country, Rogue, close its doors. I think that there's going to be another big shocker of a top 50 brewery that will close. Not like be sold off, not merge or anything like that, but like, oh, there goes a giant of the industry that is down for the count. Like, I don't want to like make predictions on who, because I don't know how anyone is
Mike,
actually doing
Mike,
in this.
Mike, Mike.
But it's
Do
just
do
no. I just
do
think that there's going to be something that's shocking. Like, I mean, there was things that we didn't like about Rogue. Sure, like I think everyone who's in the know had a bone to pick with Rogue, but they probably like that. But I don't think anyone necessarily at the start of 2025 said Rogue's going to shut down. Like,
No.
no one saw that coming. So I think that there might be another shocker like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair, and I don't think it's going to just be down to purely financial reasons. I think it all has to do with that generation of brewery aging out, right? So remember, what was it, 8 years ago when Boulevard sold? I don't remember how long ago that was. When Boulevard sold, part of that was because the kids didn't want to take over, right?
Yeah.
I think what you're seeing is a lot of these guys that started these breweries 20 years ago are getting ready to retire, and people aren't going to want to take it over. Their kids don't want to be in it. Their kids don't want to take over the family business, or their kids don't think that's a financially viable or smart thing to do, or whatever. And so I think you're going to see some of that. A lot of it's going to be financial for sure, but I think some of it's just going to be because it's legacy and it's old hat and it's run its course, I think. So I don't think that's a bold prediction at all.
So once again, I want to piggyback on yours, Mike. And you talked about a legacy brewery, a big brewery closing. One of the major respites in the beer industry for small guys, bigger guys, whatever it is, has been contract brewing. And you've seen more and more regular breweries that had their own brands taking on contracts, right? And even not even contracting out beer, they're doing co-packing for hemp brands, they're doing co-packing for all this other kind of stuff. And there has been, first, I don't work in that space. I don't know where the success is. I don't, maybe they're all in, operating in the red, but there's at least a perception that those are, viable businesses because they're continuing to take on these contracts. I think we're going to see a major contract brewery just cease operations and say, we can't really do this because the margins aren't good. There's not enough people who want to contract with us. Our margins aren't strong enough because our entire model is based on growth and we're not growing, which means that we're not profitable. So, and when that domino falls and you see breweries taking on less contracts or not being able to make contracts viable and large contract breweries struggling, it really could be the death nail for a lot of smaller brands who thought, well, I couldn't succeed with my brand, but I've got all these placements at grocery stores. So I can keep this thing alive. I can contract with somebody and I can, make a little bit of money on the side and I'll go sell insurance somewhere. I think that will be in the narrative in 2026. In addition to what Mike says about a legacy brand going under.
Yeah, I think that's a fair
That
point.
is, yeah.
I mean, I can think of a few brands that have been contract only that are on like their third different place that they've been contract brewing at because they keep on finding, oh well, maybe I can find a better way here or a better way there. I kind of heard a conversation maybe 2 months ago where they're like, there's no way those numbers make sense. Like, how do you make money doing it for yourself? And the contract brewer, the said, well, we don't. These numbers barely make sense for us. They're not going to make sense for you, right? Like, and so yeah, absolutely, Kevin. I think it's not going to just be legacy brands, but some of these places that maybe only are known for contract, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Is
sure.
like the contract brewers making like what $1 on a case, and then they pass along maybe another dollar to the
Yeah,
fucking contractee. Like, yeah, I'd never thought of that, but holy shit, like
yeah,
that could one big contract brewer going under could really set back a lot of fucking people.
yeah,
Because
And
they'll be scrambling. The people that were
yeah,
contracting and doing real volume. I mean, some of these places are massive. I mean, I don't. I'm not locked into this industry, that part of the industry, very well at all. All I know is like Brew
yeah,
Hub and a few other people throughout the country, and also some breweries that have switched to it and doing a lot of contracting. But the domino effect could, like you just said, Mike, is like in your mind you can see like the chess pieces moving in a very negative direction for the beer
yeah.
industry.
Like, so I was looking at job postings in the area for beverage related stuff a couple days ago, and all of this like made me look at like go back to this. And I saw a job posting. I'm not going to say what brewery it's for, but it is a legacy brewery, not from Florida, that had a sales position open, totally commission based. And remember, they are not from here, so they're not distributors, so they can't sell directly. Uh, but this is a one. I did not know that this brewery had a winery, a distillery, and a THC beverage brand all under their ownership umbrella. But I'll tell you guys off air. But it is just about like how the job posting is like the distributor doesn't pay attention to brands like us anymore. So we need you out there doing it, and we need you to open up these sales. And I know that this brand does contract brewing as well. Like that I feel like they contract brew, have their beers brewed, and they contract brew at the same time. I don't know
Mhm.
if that makes any sense,
Oh yeah,
but like it's just it's weird and actually giving me flashbacks. But it's man, like this is talking about contract brewer, like Thomas Creek, fucking Florida. I don't know if Florida Beer Company does contract brewing anymore, but or Carib as they are now. Brew Hub, Sleeping Giant is a big one out in I think Colorado. Like these breweries essentially only make contract brewed brands, and like man, if they were to go under, they could just put so many other people under, and it's just wow. I I'm
well,
blown away by that thought.
it's sort of tail wagging the dog, right? Like I know breweries that have pivoted towards being a contract brewer because they have all this excess capacity, right? Because they overbuilt or because their volume went down, and so now they're taking on these other ones. So yeah, if they go under, all those other brands that were relying on them go under, but also they might go under because all these other contract brands aren't giving them enough business to be able to be viable. So it kind of is gonna. I think it's gonna cut both ways.
Yeah.
I agree.
Whew. Um, Tim, you wanna throw a prediction out there?
Yeah, I think you're going to see an even larger presence of private equity right? I think we've seen the days of AB and Miller cores. Um, uh, Acquiring brands is long gone. We know that, right?
They've sold
That's
off a lot of those
yeah. I was
brands.
gonna say that's like that is not happening. But I think you're going to see uh, the breweries that do seem to survive aren't going to be able, if they're going to be production breweries, they're not going to do it through nearly that grassroots homegrown effort anymore. So I think if you are going to see any production growth happen, I think you're going to see it more through private equity than before. And I know that's something that's been coming for over the last 10 years, but I think this year, if there's any way that these places are going to go, that's going to be what it is. I think you're going to lose a lot of community connection through that too.
I mean, we know that.
No, go
Go
ahead.
ahead
Go
again.
ahead, Mike. No, go ahead, Mike.
We know that private equity means terrible, like because that means they're just looking for their profit. Like
Yeah.
they're not looking at like creating a sustainable business, or I mean, they are looking at creating a sustainable business financially, but they don't look at anything other than the dollar signs. And like we've seen breweries who have been purchased by private equity or been invested in by private equity, like whether that be a minority or a majority amounts, and some of them like have done okay, and some of them haven't. And there's one brewery that was private equity invested it in that led me into what my prediction was going to be. Dogfish Head, they got a private equity burst a long time ago, and like they did a good job at like really selling it as like, hey, this is a good thing for us, before maybe a lot of people really knew what private equity meant. um and because my prediction was we're going to see another mega merger where
Mhm.
like when Boston Beer bought Dogfish Head,
Yeah.
like bought them out of that private equity and brought them into their fold. And for all intents and purposes, they're not doing great. Like the what's it, Sun Cruiser, their tea thing, their type of Surfside is keeping them kind of going. But I think that we're going to see another like brand maybe who is in private equity or who is just like really hurting, like a bigger brand be bought by another bigger brand and be like, hey, let's see what we can do. Like this, like it would be like Deschutes buying someone who is like also maybe in the top 50 or something like that, because that's what that felt like when Boston Beer bought Sam or bought Dogfish Head. And it was like, man, these are two huge brands coming together. I think we might see that happen again this year because of everyone kind of being
I'm by the way, I'm surprised that they didn't create a Sam Adams beer with Sam Calgione's
for
face
real, right?
on Sam.
Uh, so, so I'll jump in and I will. So I've had a lot of, and I think in general, a lot of our predictions have been like doom and gloom for the industry. This is not in that track, and it does kind of talk about like these legacy breweries you've touched on now a couple times, Mike. I think in 2026, in the upcoming years, we're going to see a continued burst of nostalgia. So we've talked about Sierra Nevada doing Tumbler in their mix packs and how excited we all got for that. And Mike, you share stuff all the time on a text message between myself and Tim and you, and talking about like beers that are coming back from Dogfish Head and whether they'll bring back something like Black and Blue or something of that nature. I think that by the way, and what I'm saying here, it's preaching to the choir completely. It's a niche market that they're marketing to, because a lot of these beers that we're talking about, using Dogfish Head Black and Blue as a example, no one ever knew about that beer. Statistically, no one has ever drank it. Right? If you want to, it's a rounding error of the people who love that beer. But for those people, we're now getting to the point we're 10, 15, 20 years since we had that beer.
Yeah.
Think about how nostalgia works. We're now to the point where all these specialty beers, all these things that Left Hand and Dogfish Head and Sam Adams and, name your brewery did years ago, all these brands that have been retired now have some cachet. And I
Yeah.
think we're going to see a burst of that marketing to, for lack of a better term, me, a 45-year-old man who got into craft beer 20 years ago, loved every second of it, and will buy and gobble up anything you give me if you give it to me in that retro packaging and give me a chicory stout or give me, I know I'm really, pushing the Dogfish Head stuff. This is the ones that are coming to my mind. But there's so many options out there for Smutty Nose. There's so many options out there of breweries that have discontinued brands. I think we're going to see a burst of nostalgia. I think that they will be mildly successful, but not enough to like sustain a brand because those beers were discontinued for a reason. They weren't mass marketable, and you need to be mass marketable. But I do think we'll see more of that. It'll be a boon for us, people of a certain age that have nostalgia for those. It'll be a boon for people getting into craft beer who had never had a chance to try these beers. But I do predict, and I think that's a wonderful thing, that maybe our demographic will be catered to a little bit coming up in the next couple of years.
I love that prediction, Kevin. I hadn't really thought about that. I mean, I'd kind of thought about yeah, to my next prediction is that 2026 is the death of hazy. But just the idea of retro, that we haven't really had kind of a retro movement. Retro is a thing that happens, right? It happens in fashion, it happens in music, it happens in so many things. And I was just having a conversation with younger coworkers today who had never even heard of Bass Ale, right? I'm not calling that a legacy brand per se, but what I am saying is that was something that was popular 25 years ago that nobody sees or knows what it is again. You know, I went on a big rant about how I was excited to see Amberbach again, right? Like I do think retro is a thing. I think that's a really good prediction that I hadn't thought about, but I really, really like that one. So kudos. If I could pull the soundboard up, I'd give you the little applause thing, Mike. You wanna but yeah, I do like that one. Yeah, perfect.
There we go.
Perfect.
I
You
love
both have
that.
soundboards now? Why was I not informed?
It is something that Discord's had for a while, and I have not
Okay.
used.
Gotcha.
Because I don't need to be. Was Fred the sound guy, the soundboard guy for Howard, or was that
I don't
Jack?
remember.
Good. Oh, very good usage there, Tim. Excellent. So I there has been for, I feel like, at least 5 years now, a nostalgic push in branding. Like, people are making these throwback looking, nostalgic looking cans and stuff that makes it look like it's been around for 50 years, but it hasn't. And there's some that are really good at that, and I do love the way that they look. But man, there is something to real nostalgia. Like, if you sell a fucking, like, I don't know, 200 extra cases of beer for the year because you did a throwback to something, like, I know 200 cases to fucking Dogfish Head is fucking nothing. Like, 200 cases to you and I, Kevin, are fucking, like, incredible.
It's important.
But like, you do that to people who haven't seen you in a long time, that could really mean something in goodwill. It could maybe mean something in like return business. Like, I think that one thing that has continued to make me a Sierra Nevada fan, like that I always have Sierra Nevada beers, is their continued like return to some of these older things. Like, they go back and they bring these back every once in a while to where, like, it's an olive branch of sorts to me as a consumer. Like, hey, I know we stopped making this all the time, but hey, here's these things that we used to make. Um, if you'll go out and buy hazy, you go out and buy pale, go out and buy our regular things maybe a little bit more often. Like, we'd really appreciate it. We can do these things for you. And I feel like Sierra has always been like that to me. Like, I'll go and buy a case of pale maybe every quarter because, like, oh, look, they did this throwback thing here. I had a bunch of celebration. Awesome. I'm happy about that. And like, hazy little thing stays in our house pretty regularly too. Like, because my wife goes, I think it was a few weeks ago. She's like, what was that rye IPA that Sierra Nevada did? I'm like, oh, Ruthless, yeah. And she's like, I wish they would do that again. And I'm like, yeah, they had that in that throwback pack. I think finding a nice in between of pandering to your old nostalgic roots while trying to keep your new stuff relevant is good. And I don't know if everyone is like me to where they will be like, okay, if you pander to me enough, I will buy your new stuff too. But I mean, it's worth a try if it works for someone like me. I'm sure that there's other people who are like me as well.
Well, there's at least two or three.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing you brought up, right, is there was this trend towards like brands that look like they were 50 years old. Like everyone was trying to make like an old style looking can, right?
Yeah.
Like, right. And so that really kind of like tried to pander to, people that are thinking about the beer their dad used to drink in their garage, right? Now I think what you're gonna see is we're not gonna cater to, hey boy, think about what your dad used to drink. Now, now we're catering to, hey, think about what your kid's dad used to drink. We're the dad being pandered to now, or I mean, like, but seriously, I think, when I say about like guys I work with that are like damn near 30 that haven't heard of Bass Ale and who are beer drinkers, like we already are the throwback now. So we're not reminiscing about our dads. People are reminiscing about us. But I think that's absolutely true, and I think that is a way to kind of help buy relevance that still allows you to put out some new things. And Sierra Nevada is just the cheat code, though, because we all agree that we will drink their old stuff and drink their new stuff just because they're Sierra Nevada. And there's not a whole lot of breweries that I will blindly trust whatever they do, but they could literally put out urine in a can and I'd probably sing its praises, and I totally admit that. But yeah, I do think that that's interesting, that the way that we've looked at kind of retro and its usefulness in a marketing perspective has changed.
And I think you said it earlier, Tim, is I don't think that beer has reached truly its retro, or craft beer hasn't reached its true retro period yet. And that's where, like,
coming into it. I think we're coming into it.
Yeah.
Where the ownership of some of these brands, like the fact that like Rogue shut down, it's not that Rogue sold or Rogue was bought by someone else. Rogue shut down. Like, that's a name that has some value to it. And you would think, like, okay, would the owners would look for someone who would buy the name so that they could pay down like their fucking what they owe. Like I mean, I also don't know how all of that fucking bullshit works, but like Anchor still hasn't come back. They've been purchased away from Sapporo. Their property has, but they still haven't come back. Like, some of this stuff is crazy, that there are brands that have name recognition, have value to them, that have not been able to traverse that path and come into the retro nostalgia phase yet, where we've seen some smaller, like legacy brands be able to be purchased by a younger brewery or whatnot. Like one that just pops into my head was Drake's from the Bay Area of California that got bought by I can't even remember. It was Cellar Maker, I think, or Cellar. Uh, Bear Republic was purchased. No, sorry, Bear Republic was purchased by Drake's. There we go. But like, it's just.
Well, Mike, can I jump in here? So
Yeah.
I think one of the important things is I don't think nostalgia can carry a brand of craft beer.
Yeah.
I don't think we're there because I don't think the market was ever big enough. I don't think that you can say, hey, listen, you remember this from your childhood. No, that would be irresponsible. You remember this from when you were 21 and you got into this because it was always such a small market. But within that small market, successful breweries can leverage these legacy brands to get interest. I mean, I've mentioned Dogfish Head so many times. I'll just stick with it. If they come out with a mixed 12 pack that has black and blue, red and white, chicory stout, and I don't know, pick your poison, and I go pick that up, I might be slightly more likely to pick up a pack, a 90 minute the next time I go to the store, just because they're on my brain. I'm thinking about them now. It's now, sometimes there's a block when you just kind of like, you're in your own kind of rut. Reinvigorating that for a small niche amount of the market, there's enough people to make a dent in the overall business. It's just not enough to sustain a brand new brand. So and I think we're at the point in the craft beer industry where people like myself, like as once again, mid 40s, decent amount of disposable income, and the ability to go out there and look at something and go, wow, I can't remember the last time I had this. It's the perfect time to get into that and exploit it, for the lack of a better term. And we have seen it. I think Sierra Nevada has done it beautifully. Chef's kiss. They are, when they release that pack. I mean, I've already, like you said, Tim, I already buy everything they make anyway. But if they were to release like a Southern Hemisphere wet hop 22-ounce bottle, I'd buy like 6 of them. I just go buy everyone off the shelf because I'd be like, I remember when I had this. So I just think that there's ways to, for lack of a better term, attack that market and leverage it for success with your other brands, without it being like your entire marketing strategy. You don't have to go and turn your brand back. You don't have to be Miller Lite. Miller Lite can go put their beer in the can from 1985 and I'll go buy it. Because that was the can I stole from my dad's cooler.
Pabst is still living off of a blue ribbon win from like 1914. So yeah,
but you know what I'm saying? Like
they just did lay off a whole lot of people.
You brought up a really good point, Kevin, when you said there's a reason those brands were retired in the first place, right? So the fan base for those brands are a mile wide and an inch deep, right?
Yep.
Right? They are the people that want that beer back. And they'll have one, and then they'll go order 2 more of a different thing, of one of your more current offerings, right?
Yeah.
So the people that are going to do it right, you're right, they're leveraging that retro without relying specifically or solely on that retro. I think,
Bingo.
I think that is the play.
Kevin, do you remember when I came over to your house and brought Zima when it came back for that one period of time?
Do you remember when I bought a case of Zima and planned on drinking it all together with
for
Jolly
the hurricane.
Ranchers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there is a very fine way of looking at it as like, okay, is it the McRib? Is it Zima? Or is it like this beautiful like relationship between consumer and brand to be like, hey, we're going to do these things as long as you keep on supporting the original things that we make too. It's funny because I feel like this podcast, you could probably say that we were Sierra Nevada or New Belgium stooges, and Bell's is owned by the same parent company as New Belgium, so like Kevin's putting his expedition out now.
Yeah.
Uh,
But again,
like
there's a legacy beer that's been around forever that I'm going to be excited about.
And New Belgium does this too, like that pack that Kevin was just talking about, like that Belgian pack, like that had Frambozen, had Triple, 1554, like those are legacy brands. I don't know if they still make Triple year round, but
It's
like
I
1554
always
is
see it. I'm not sure if it's seasonal or not, but I always see it. It could just be it's
okay.
on the shelf from the year before, but it does seem to be pretty regular.
Like there's something to that, and I've always loved that about New Belgium. I've always loved that about Sierra, and like it just okay. You scratch my back, I scratch yours, almost in a way of looking at it. Okay, I'm gonna make a prediction that is kind of positive in this aspect, and I think that. I think that there is still going to be some places for small breweries to open up. If you can find, because equipment is going for dirt cheap right now, used equipment, and if you can find a
I get
good
emails every
space,
day.
I bet.
Please buy my equipment. Sorry, Mike.
If you can find a good space at a good rent, and you want to be a place that is the neighborhood brewery end, I think that there is still places for people who want to open up a brewery, but have an open mind to being, we are not going to just be a brewery. We're going to be more than just a brewery. Because I still think that there's a lot of people in this industry who are stuck on that, and stubbornly so, who are like, I opened up as a brewery, I'm going to die as a brewery. Like people who want to do that, it's admirable if you are the only employee. When you have other people who rely on you to make money, uh, you owe it to them to put your best effort forward to keep them employed and keep them going. And if there's people out there who want to open breweries and will look at it in the way of, I want to have people working for me who will be working for me and being able to keep food on their tables and be happy coming here, I'm going to do whatever it takes to keep those people here. Awesome. If you're going to be like, I want to open a brewery and I only want to make beer, and if we're struggling, then fuck all of them for not understanding me, then fuck you. But I think that there are people out there who do understand and will be able to open successfully with the mindset of, hey, let's make beer. Let's be a place that does this, that, and whatever, and is part of our community. Fuck trying to be in the grocery stores. Fuck trying to be in every Total Wine. Sorry, Ed. But yeah, I think that there is still places for those types of places.
I mean, I'm not saying I disagree. I do hope you're right. I think one of the biggest struggles is just in general, not specific to the beer industry, is that CFO mindset of if you're not growing, you're dying, right? And then having to get past that is a big hurdle. And when I say it's a big hurdle, I don't just mean for ownership. I mean for banks that are going to help to fund these places. I think that is one of the biggest impediments is if you're not growing, you're dying. Because the reality is there's going to be places, you are right, there are underserved markets, and there are places that can be a neighborhood place, and they can be a lot of things, and also brew beer. They can be a lot of those things, but they need to have a very much of, even if they're in an urban center, have very much of that small town, small business mentality, right? Like there's not a whole lot of small independent grocery stores anymore. But in like a town of 3,500 where I grew up in, there's still a small town grocery store, right? Because they don't have a growth mentality and they're not big enough to sustain a larger one. But a lot of the places there, those things just don't exist because of that. If you're not growing, you're dying mentality that banks require. Um, forget private equity, forget personal investors, just to be able to get a small business loan. A lot of times, just the idea of small business should be antithetical to that mentality. But the reality is in our current environment, that's tough. So I hope you're right, Mike. And I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that's maybe been one of the impediments there is that mentality. And I would love to see people to be able to act like that small town grocery store, provided that the market can sustain that. Kevin, you look like you want to make a point on that.
I just want to, I mean, what you said, by the way, Tim, is perfect. I think that your example is fantastic. I actually just wanted to simplify what you were saying for some of our listeners who might not be getting it clearly. Capitalism doesn't work, people. I think that's what you were saying. No, it
Spot
really,
on.
the entire idea that if you're not growing, you're dying is poison to the craft beer industry. And it's something that we struggle with every day, right? Like we all had a plan on what this brewery was going to be, and it's never what we think it's going to be. Especially, I mean, my brewery is almost 11 years old, and we've never hit any of the goals we've ever tried to establish.
Mhm.
And we're having to constantly evolve the business to figure things out. Do you guys have many more predictions?
That was my last one.
I mean, one I touched on earlier that I just kind of wanted to bounce on a
Yeah,
little bit
please,
more
Tim.
was Death of Hazy.
Okay.
Um, and by that I mean, I part of what I think is leading to a decline in craft beer industry is not just the changing consumer habits, but I think so. I was a hater on hazy earlier on, and I grew to appreciate it for what it was. But I think it drove a lot of sameness. Right, everyone was chasing one style, and so you got like the same four hops, and you got the same flavor profile, and it became sameness and sameness and sameness. And I've seen a lot of burnout. I'm noticing a lot less breweries producing hazies, or even the ones that do are not getting the shelf space in the liquor store that they used to. I'm not seeing it dominate tap lists at bars anymore. Um, uh, I'm just speaking locally, right? I can't speak for nationally, but I do think you're starting to see that. Now you're starting to see a return of West Coast IPAs that were almost a bad word 2 years ago. And I think going back to the point of return to classic styles, to maybe retro, to like all these other things, I think there is going to be um, a rejection of the sameness that drove the industry the last 5 years. And hazy is maybe just the thing I can latch on to, but it's going to be a rejection of the sameness that drove the industry because I don't think that is a sustainable way to do business anymore.
Makes sense.
So I agree and disagree. Like
You monster.
I
Like,
I
it's okay. You can
think
be wrong.
that so I think that hazy to a certain extent is here to stay. And but I don't think that we are going to see people like the ones who have made it the most popular, I feel like have already like they've changed the way that they've made those beers and to make them more sustainable to them financially. So I think that the flavor profile of hazies that are done right is kind of the thing that's here to stay. I think that tropical, citrusy, flavored IPAs, juicy, if you will, are really going to be the thing that's here to stay. I don't think that we're going to be seeing pine, resin, grapefruity, peel, IPAs overcoming that. Like they're like that West Coast that you're talking about, Tim. Like I do still love that. So like give me a Cascade forward IPA with just the tiniest kiss of caramel malts in there, and like I'm gonna be a happy camper. Like essentially Sierra Pale. But like like there are those hazy like I like Hazy Little Thing. Like,
Sure.
is that a true hazy? No, it doesn't have the body. It doesn't have that mouth feel that most like that your tree houses and other halves of the world created. But I think those breweries now know that like shit's not sustainable either. Like I think that there's a middle ground to where like West Coast and Hazy are going to meet themselves and work. There's one brewery, I won't name them because I do really like the brewery, but they have a beer, a flagship beer that they call a West Coast IPA that is not a West Coast IPA. It is hazy in look.
Monsters.
What?
I said those monsters.
Like it's a fantastic beer. And it's just weird that they lean into it as West Coast and like this. Okay, this is hazy. It's got a little bit of dank to it that lends itself to West Coast. But man, like just be who you are. Just call it an IPA. You don't have to. You don't have to put a descriptor onto that. You don't have to say hazy. You don't have to say fucking West Coast because IPA by itself is the best selling craft beer that we have out there. You just say that. And if it's a good quality, which this beer is, like that's going to do it. Like adding extra descriptors on there to try to catch, I don't know, some sort of nostalgia or certain tickers, like that seems unnecessary. But I think that IPA will find a middle ground to where hazy and West Coast and East Coast and whatever you want to fucking call it, like kind of mingles in that mainstream market. You're going to have the people who make like the extreme versions that keep on going. But I think finding an IPA that kind of meets somewhere in the middle there, like, and I think that Hazy Little Thing is that kind of right now, or some version of Voodoo Ranger. I know they have another one coming out this year that they're pushing hard, and I can't remember his name. Sorry, Maddie.
You are such a stan for that.
But like,
no,
it's not even a force beer. It's just a regular IPA that's a new brand. But like, it's just, I think that there's a middle ground where I don't think hazy is going to die, but I think that hazy is going to integrate.
Yeah, well, yeah, and to be clear, I'm making that kind of as like an intentionally bold statement, and I'm trying to make a broader statement.
Oh, you're trying to stir the pot, Tim, huh?
No, what I'm trying to do is I'm just saying that
No.
My point was more about the sameness that drove the industry is no longer sustainable. I don't really think hazy is going away. Wheat beers never went away, they just became hazies. Like the reality is, you're right, there's elements of that, but as far as that being the dominant
I think you could write a thesis on that wheat beers just became hazy. It's like they evolved into that.
That's seriously, for all the people that have a gluten sensitivity that love hazies, that was the best marketing rebrand you could have possibly ever done for wheat beers. When again, my sister's a celiac, but when wheat beers became verboten because wheat became the enemy, then we all just went, oh no, this isn't a wheat beer. This is a hazy IPA. And we went, oh, well, I love IPAs. And now all of a sudden, these people who say they have a gluten sensitivity are drinking the shit out of these hazies with more wheat than probably their hoppy wheat ale had. But to me, what I'm largely saying is you had basically one style and one style dominate the beer landscape for 5 years. You had breweries that were opening with 4 hazies and 2 pastry stouts and 1 fruited sour, and that was like the entire lineup. And to me, that's what I'm saying is dead. Really, I'm not saying the style itself is disappearing. I'm just saying that it's
completely unrelated. But imagine if you guys had 3 boys that you had birthed. I don't know why I brought that up, but I'm just saying.
but yeah, I think hazy's run as king shit, and the sameness that happened for the industry that came along with hazy and everyone trying to be Treehouse and Trillium. I think that run is over in 2026.
I think the most important part of this conversation is for all the propaganda we are disseminating about Sierra Nevada and New Belgium. Why are they not paying us? I mean,
That
the
is,
desperation we have for them just to love us and to support us in all of our
yeah,
podcasting
Our
wares.
future endeavors.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
just amazing.
Maddie, help some brothers out.
Yeah,
Ken, I
guys,
talked to you once at a conference. Help us out. I'm sure you listen.
um, I do have one last prediction. Actually, I have
Yeah.
two predictions, but I have one last prediction. I'm going to throw it out there. We don't have to talk about it much, but I do think, and this is, we've been a little bit tongue in cheek and stuff like that, but I do think the price wars are here. I do think that we are no longer in the space where, oh, high quality is winning out. I don't believe that, and I'm seeing more and more where we were shifting to the point where if my wheat beer was $2 more than Blue Moon as a 6-pack, I could sell that to the consumer. I don't know how much longer that's going to sustain or if it's sustaining right now. I think that everyone is competing for price. And when people compete for price, craft loses always because our margins are slimmer, our economies of scale are lower. We're not going to be able to compete with that. And the knock-on effects of that are that, like things like the large cans, small cans, anything that can be perceived as cost effective. Either it's because it's ABV, you do an imperial stout in an 8-ounce can, or you deliver a 22-ounce can of IPA. Perceived value is everything right now, and I think it's going to continue to be everything. Maybe not just for 2026, but going forward, or at least till the market shifts a little bit. And that's a really, really difficult thing for some of us to deal with.
I don't know about you guys, but when I go into a grocery store, if they have the per ounce price next to the unit price, I'm looking at those a lot of
Yeah,
the times.
sure.
Even if it's just buying black beans or like some silly thing, like okay, this is 22 cents per ounce as opposed to 30 cents per ounce. Okay, I'm gonna I'm gonna buy this cheaper thing
I'm going
instead.
to be a responsible person.
Yeah, like I completely get you. We went to a Christmas party during the holidays, and the person who was supposed to bring beer didn't show up, and there was a liquor store right around the corner from the house. I'm like, I will go walk over there right now and buy beer. So I bought a
Zima.
uh, no, for possibly the last time, I bought a Sierra Nevada Pale 12 pack, and I bought garage beer because it was actually cheaper than Modelo
The
in this
the
particular
the
liquor
Ke-
store.
the Kelsey brothers
Yeah.
thing is yeah. Actually, that's not a bad beer.
Oh, and I had it for the first time then. And I'm like, this is pretty damn good beer. And that I can get a 12 pack for $14 at
Yeah,
this
I can
liquor
get that at
store.
I can get that at my bodega with only a 3.2 license. Like I love that part.
Yeah, I was like, okay, this might be something that becomes more of a regular thing in my house. Like, if because my Publix doesn't have that, my even little indie grocer that I have doesn't have that, but this liquor store does, and it's not far from my house. Like, I'll go over there and buy a $14 12 pack, while there's another local brewery putting out a light lager now for $14 for a 6 pack. Like, fuck, like this is a good tasting beer, good drinking beer, and god damn it if if it wasn't gone really quick at that party and like, all right, we're gonna have to go buy more because now I see these cans in like so many people's hands. Okay, like
Yeah.
there's definitely a pricing war that is here. Like it's not even approaching. It is here.
So Kevin, you said you had two predictions. I thought of one more prediction that I had, so I'll let you go ahead and do your final one, and then I'm going to close this out with my last prediction.
Oh, I love this. Thank you very much for remembering that, Tim. So this is my prediction. Um, I predict that a lager brewery will open up somewhere in the continental United States. It will have 10 core beers, all lagers. We're thinking Czech lager, Italian lager, Mexican lager, Japanese lager, what have you, right? They will be the exact same beer, and no one will know the difference.
So
Now,
it's the
someone will-
hazy IPA thing for you, Tim.
Yeah, well,
someone's
I
gonna
mean,
have.
I've wanted a Duff Light, Duff Dry brewery. I swear to God, I used to always think that I could just pour the same beer into a flight and tell people it was four different names and get away with it. So I love this idea, Kevin, and I think you're not wrong.
Somebody please confirm this for me that this happens in the next 11 and a half months.
Oh yeah, the number of people who tell me, like, I know there's a difference, but the number of places that tell me that this is their Bohemian pills and this is their Czech pills, and I'm like, that's the same beer, guys. Quit pretend. No, you're right. Or this is their Italian pills. This is their international pills. Yeah, 1,000%. I love that prediction. Thank you very much for that. My final prediction for 2026 for the beer industry is that United We Drink will become your mom's favorite beer podcast. I am certain in 2026 your mom is going to decide that her favorite beer podcast is United We Drink, and for that, moms around the country and for all our listening audience, we thank you and we thank your mom.
Have we become Screen Crush? Kevin will get. Oh, Tim gets it too. Okay, I didn't know that we had two Screen Crush people on here, but
Fuck you, Ryan Airy.
we're already my mom's favorite podcast. So
My mom doesn't know that podcasts exist. So maybe next time I talk to her, I can try to help her out to, increase the numbers.
God bless Tennessee.
Nominum patre.
Like I have no follow up to that.
I don't think we have to follow up. I think we should just go into last calls.
Yeah.
Yeah. The point in the show where we give each other an unspecific amount of time to talk about whatever it is that we want, beverage related or not. Only rules are that it is uninterrupted, unopposed, unobjected. And for this, let's start with Kevin.
So I don't know what you guys are going to talk about. I have a feeling of what you guys are going to talk about. I have a feeling what Tim might be talking about just because of what's going on in his city right now. Quite honestly, I don't have a lot to say other than the fact that I don't want heavily armed people walking through neighborhoods trying to detain and murder people. I think that would be better if we didn't have that. And because I've never been affected by it, and I'm just not right now. I'm not saying it won't happen in the future. I kind of want to just give my time over to Tim to talk about what's going on in his state, because he shared some pretty impactful things with us over the last several weeks, and basically fuck ice. And that's my perspective, but I want to hear what Tim has to say about it. So I just want to pass that along.
Thank you, Kevin. And you're right.
Hold
no,
on,
sorry,
Tim,
go ahead, Mike.
Tim, because I do want you to finish this up.
Okay.
And because what I wanted to say absolutely piggybacks on this. You and I are from, or you live and I am from two places that have terminology built around us, and what our attitudes are like. Minnesota nice, a sort of passive aggressiveness towards people, and Philadelphia being aggressive towards people. And like the fact that I've never been to Minnesota, and my whole stuff is based off of reading and you, and I love the fact that uh, you people up there in Minneapolis are wonderful, fucking aggressive people, and it is amazing. Like, I hate that you have all had to go through what you have been going through and are still going through, but the fact that you have organized signal chat rooms with parents groups to look after kids at bus stops and walking to schools, people who are patrolling their neighborhoods and looking out for their neighbors, there's nothing passive about that. You are beautifully aggressive people who look out for your communities, look out for your neighbors, look out for your fellow human beings. And I fucking love that about what I am seeing in Minneapolis. I fucking hate that it has to be under the circumstances, but God damn it, if it doesn't instill a belief in me that you are beautiful people, wonderful people who look out for each other regardless of skin color, creed, gender, whatever the fuck those people are and choose to be, you're there for each other. And I goddamn love that about you. And I just want to say, like, Minneapolis, St. Paul, you're fucking wonderful, and keep on doing what you are doing. I hate that you have to, but fuck, you're really making, I think, a lot of people feel good about standing up and fighting against bullshit. So now, Tim, yes, please.
First of all, I know we're not supposed to respond, but thank you both. That means a lot. I am obviously getting very emotional. And yeah, I don't think there's any surprise what I'm going to talk about in my last call. That we are long overdue for a Flintstones movie reboot. I'm kidding. That's obviously not what I'm talking about. But no. As we have been recording this episode, guys, not only have I heard sirens by my door, but literally as we've been recording this, federal agents have now shot another person in Minneapolis. I don't know if you guys noticed, I've been peeking over at my phone, but literally just right at the beginning of recording, federal agents now shot another person in the city. So details are still murky, still working through what all of that looks like. You'll notice that the gin and tonics I've been drinking through this episode did not contain ice, because from now on everything is neat, because fuck ice. Yeah, man, I'm tired of choking on pepper balls. I am tired of seeing ice vehicles. I'm tired of hearing about schools being raided, right? If this is supposed to be about people taking advantage of the system and not contributing to society, why are you taking people from schools and from their place of work? Why are you identifying them by their tax records if they supposedly don't pay taxes? Like, none of this fucking makes any goddamn sense in any way, shape, or form. And I guarantee you, I could put on a maple leaf sweater and run around talking about how much I love poutine and apologize to everyone, and no one is going to profile me as a Canadian and ask me to see my papers. But I have a person who's near and dear to me who is from Brazil, in this country on an H-1B visa as a postdoc researcher. And today the Trump administration said they're suspending all visa activity for people from Brazil. And I'm scared as shit as to what's going to happen with that situation. We have a text chain to pick up and take home the legal working immigrants from our job who are completely scared, who aren't showing up to work, or whose brothers and sisters we know are getting picked up. We have already heard about that. People who are afraid to even, because ICE is targeting the communities where these immigrants live, and these immigrants that work for us, live in those communities, and so they're literally afraid. It's one thing to say, okay, well, they can just get to and from work, but they can't even, they can't even walk at their front door, right? They're targeting kids and parents at bus stops. They're literally grabbing random people. And the gaslighting that this administration is doing is unheard of. This is, it's very difficult to like worry about invoking Godwin's law, right? And invoking Hitler in a conversation, but holy shit, is this some Gestapo stuff? Literally going door to door asking for papers, like literally doing that. That is like our grandparents did not fight World War II for this shit to be on our shores. And I'm a straight white male, right? I'm as safe can be. But to see two kids working at Target get pulled, U.S. citizens get pulled from their job at Target in the middle of the day and detained, and they technically weren't arrested. They were detained and they were dropped off 4 hours later, 8 miles away in a Walmart parking lot. Which, if you know anything about the Twin Cities, Walmarts and Targets aren't anywhere near each other. With no way to get back, no phones to contact anyone. Like that type of bullshit cannot stand. Going to schools, the high school in my neighborhood, as it was letting out, and showing up and trying to detain people and pepper spraying high school kids, like that shit cannot stand. And I know I've got conservative friends that I know better, and know in their hearts that this is wrong. And not all of them are defending this, but a lot of them are saying nothing. And God, it pains me to say this, but fuck you, you're complicit too. Silence is complicity in this shit. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of seeing so many people so scared. But to echo what Mike, what you said about this community, I stopped off for one beer on my way home today because I was stressed as all get out, and we were trying to figure out who we needed to take home. Very grateful to my employer, who literally said if I take someone home, they'll pay me for that drive home. Not that I'm asking for that money, but they're saying that means that much to us. That if you're going to take one of our employees home, then you get paid for that. That means the world. But I stopped off because I was stressed. I just want to relax in a beer, and I went into a neighborhood bar that I know has had to greatly restrict their hours because they lost all of their kitchen staff. And I sat down and I was talking with someone. There was just me and one other guy because I get up at 1 PM because I work dumb hours. And this gentleman was talking about how straight white male. Our neighborhood of Minneapolis isn't necessarily in the heart of it, but it's in between two active centers. And I pulled out the whistle that I wear around my neck, and the whistle that I have on my keychain. And I said, I always have these whistles on me. And he said, I don't have a whistle. And the bartender immediately pulled a whistle from behind the bar and handed it to him. The way our community has come together, the way our small businesses have come together, means the world to me. And to see Greg fucking Bavino say that 99% of Minnesotans are behind him, get bent, you fucking small-dicked loser. And I hate to be such a silly whatever about that, but I'm tired of that. I am tired of these lies and lies and lies. It is beyond propaganda that is going on. This community is strong. We are proud. It's my favorite protest sign that I saw just before getting pepperballed. Minnesota nice, but fuck ICE.
That's the best way to end that.
It's an appropriate way to end that.
All right. I don't think plugs are necessary. Other than oh
No,
you
I
know
know.
what? Yeah. Plug. You know what? Plugs are necessary. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I wish that there were. There's too many plugs to mention. Uh, uh, iceout.org, you can see all the activity going on. And just like I know it's fucking dour to look at all this shit, but look at it, right? Like a lot of times I say avoid this mess because it's gonna affect your mental health. I want your fucking mental health affected by this. Please go check out what's going on. The Powderhorn Park Neighborhood Association on their Instagram page has a billion things that you can donate to. There are more links than I can go ahead and plug in this time, so I'm just going to say look up Powderhorn Park Neighborhood Association on Instagram. Find them on their website. They'll have all of the links on all of the resources that you can give. So please, that plug and only that plug. So sorry, guys, but I have to throw that in there.
No, thank you for doing that, Tim.
We will put that in the episode notes on our website, unitedwedrink.com.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Sweet. Other than that, 2026. Holy fuck, we're off to a start. We'll see where everything goes. Like these predictions, like we had fun, we had a good time. I know we shit on stuff at times, but there's a realistic outlook on some of this. But hey, like we want to keep on doing this. We want to keep like I have talked about this on this show before. I love this industry. I love working in this industry. I love making stuff. But I like our fucking sounding up there saying but like I want us all to be good, be fucking happy, be fucking good people to one another. And I like a lot of the people who listen to this show. I know that you guys are with us, but yeah.
I look forward to Barrel of Monks, Italian, New Zealand, Vienna, Mexican lager.
If anyone can do that, Ralph can fucking do that.
The super high gravity triple barrel big boy.
And mid grade level gravity.
Yeah.
No, Tim, thank you for thank you for adding some levity to that. And I'll just say before we check out, like, at the end of the day, you guys know our heart, where we stand. And I mentioned this earlier, like we agree with each other on so many things, and we'll disagree from time to time. We should. That's the heart of humanity, is to disagree on things. But when it comes to the important things, we support each other. And if you're not, if anything that Tim said upsets you, we might not be the people for you, because myself and Mike and Tim, we have principles and we give a fucking shit about other human beings, and we're going to continue to do that as long as we possibly can.
Yeah, like disagreements in like, okay, what sports team that we fucking root for, like that's fucking fine. Even small little minor like nuances in how our society goes, okay, I can understand that to a certain fucking point, but no one should fucking die. No one should fucking be like targeted because of what they think, what they believe in, and just countries were the worst fucking idea in the history of everything. But like, dude, just because you want to fucking live somewhere and you're from somewhere else, I welcome you. Like, I think everyone else here welcomes you. And you know what? Like, fuck those fucking racist fucks. I don't give a fuck about leaving it on that. Thank you for listening to this show. If you keep on coming back here, thank you for coming back here. This is our show. fuck you if you don't like it. WeDrink.com.
Tim, thank you very much for sharing all that.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Love you both.
And when we love you, man.